guys, thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't been here before, my name is Naya. I'm usually based in Myanmar, but at the moment I'm home in Australia in Melbourne in stage 4 lockdown due to the coronavirus pandemic. So today I really wanted to do a video about what you should know before you move to Myanmar. I've done a lot of videos on things to do in Myanmar and why I moved to Myanmar, which you can see linked below. However, I haven't done things like an advice on before you move, like what you should know. And I have a lot of people always contacting me about questions they want to know before they move, maybe for work or study. Even people who are from Myanmar originally but are living overseas, they want to know a little bit more about like what the certain specific things that you should know before you move, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. So I moved to Myanmar in May 2019. I had no idea really like what to really expect lifestyle wise or generally or work wise from Myanmar. I kind of just dived right into that. But now knowing what I know, I feel like I need to share that and I want to share it just so that somebody else who is looking to come to Myanmar can be informed, more informed than I was, essentially. So I've made a list of about 8 things that I feel like I wish I knew before I moved to Myanmar, or things that you really don't learn until you're in the country that kind of will affect your daily life or general life, either as an expat or a local, mainly as an expat. So let's start with number 1. So the first thing is traveling within Myanmar as a foreigner is very expensive. I think I never really thought too much about this and I didn't really expect to have to pay a lot, just because usually when you're in Southeast Asia, like it's not as expensive. And also like when you fly internally in a country, it shouldn't be too expensive. However, no, it's very expensive for foreigners. So there is a significant difference in price for foreigners and locals. So locals probably paid maybe like 80 Australian dollars, like 80,000 chat, which is the Myanmar currency, which is about like 60 US dollars, maybe around about that. Anyway, they won't pay that much to travel, maybe from Yangon to Bagan, which is like an hour flight. But if, as foreigner, you're going to pay $100 US to fly one way, so it's 200 return, and that's like a flat fee. You won't really get a price variance based on like a date you book, or like if you book it really early, it doesn't change. It's just like one flat fee. Also, when you get to that state, the different states that are in Myanmar, you'll have to pay like a foreigner tax or like fee to get in. But that's also really inconsistent because sometimes there's not an immigration officer sitting at the airport if you come in at like an early time or a late time, and they won't stamp your thing and tell you to pay. But like for instance, when you go to Bagan, now they have it set up that you have to pay every time any entry point that you go into, which is, it's about like 25 US dollars, which is not cheap, but as a foreigner you have to pay it. So yeah, it's not cheap to travel in Myanmar. It's actually cheaper sometimes to just go to Bangkok for the weekend than go and travel within Myanmar, which I think a lot of people have tried to encourage the government to like ease the prices a little bit to encourage travel within Myanmar. But I mean, it's worth it when you do travel in Myanmar, except you just have to pay a higher price and expect that. It's not going to be like cheap really, because hotels are not that cheap either. They have a different price as well for foreigners. So that's something to keep in mind. Secondly, foreigners in Myanmar have a lot of restrictions. One of them being like you can't buy property in Myanmar. So I didn't really know that, and I didn't come into the country expecting to like buy property, but now that I've been there for more than a year, I could definitely see myself staying in Myanmar for a while. And I mean, if that eventuated to me wanting to buy a property, it's just not something I can do. It's not something I really thought about properly before I went to Myanmar, but now that I know that, it's like if you want to set up, because I've met a lot of people who've settled down in Myanmar, but you know, they can't buy a property, so it sucks a little bit. But the reason for that, it leads into this other thing, which is that Myanmar is a very protectionist society, over the country as a whole, and also over like the locals, and you know, having fair rights for locals so they don't get like pretty much overwhelmed by foreigners and an influx of them just like bringing in their investment, which is a really good thing, I think, because it does really slow down the rate of globalization of Myanmar. You know, if you look at somewhere like Thailand, I think it's heavily like dependent on tourism and foreign investment, which is a good and bad thing. I think, like, I don't know, I think as a tourist I find it generally quite bad because it doesn't really feel like there's an authentic culture there. But for Myanmar, I feel when you do come to the country, you feel like, you know, you are entering a different country and seeing so many new things that are really unique to Myanmar, which I think is a really good thing. I do think that the government is making efforts to like allow foreigners to buy some things, like some condominiums, different sorts of types of properties you can buy, which is a good thing, but it is a slow process. But that is something to know, that is Myanmar is very protectionist, so there are like only a certain amount of things that foreigners can do business-wise and like own as a sole proprietor, or if not, you have to have like a joint venture. So that's something to keep in mind, and if you want to know more about that, you can ask me, or you can also Google it. So the third thing is health insurance. Coming from Australia, you kind of forget to think about health insurance because as a citizen here, you are really well covered by the government. There are many procedures that they will give you rebates for, and private health insurance is like very accessible, and kind of you don't have to pay for it until you get covered by in your family plan until you're like 24. Anyway, so I didn't really think about it too much, but then when you move, and I moved to Hong Kong first time, I was covered with health insurance through my university initially because I was on like a program, and then after that I went on another health insurance, and then I went to Myanmar and I was like, I have to get health insurance. But health insurance, or insurance in general, is not really a very well structured I'm lost for the word. It's not very well structured, essentially. Like there are not that many insurers. They've only just started to let in a certain amount of insurers, like very recently, who are international, and they can cover only like general insurance. They can't cover like certain life insurance, etc., things like that. So anyway, that's mainly for locals, because foreigners, to go on, I think, health insurance, most people go through it with their work, and their job will offer them a health insurance. But the health insurance will be very basic. It'll just be hospital cover, pretty much. If you go to a doctor's appointment, you probably have to pay it out of pocket. So a lot of expats I know are on their own health insurance with a separate global insurer that will cover them for like a wide variety of regions, and you have to pay more for like certain areas. So I'll link below some examples of health insurers, but like you can go on like Nomad's insurance, you can go on like Safety Wing insurance. They have different insurance policies, and then they can be very expensive. I think like I was looking to pay $128 a month, which is a lot. But I think I ended up settling for going on like a local insurer that just covers hospital, because really the doctor's appointments are not too expensive, and if I do need to go to the doctors, I'm okay to pay it out of pocket, because I think I would go to the doctors less than I would pay my premium per month. Yeah, but health insurance, it is available. Insurance is becoming a more recognized industry in Myanmar, but your options are probably a lot less and expensive because you live in Myanmar as well, because I don't think it's a place that people consider as particularly safe as an insurer. I think they categorize it as more high risk. So just keep that in mind when you're looking, and if you're coming to work, maybe try and make sure you get health insurance covered within your contract, because maybe if you're coming from a small company, they won't cover your health insurance. Just keep that in mind. All right. Okay, so number 4 is, there is so much to do in Myanmar, especially in Yangon, that like there's such a big variety of cultures and people and ethnicities, and there is always people who are interested in something that you do. Like honestly, there's just like so many random things, but people are always interested in it, and there are so many people that are doing those activities. And that took me a really long time to figure out in Yangon, because when Alex and I first moved, we were kind of I guess isolated because we didn't know anyone, and so as we met more and more people, and like started going to more events, and found more Facebook groups, we were able to learn about more activities being available, and really cool places that you just wouldn't know about or even find anywhere on some like blog or guide. So I guess that also links into the fact that Facebook is like Google in Myanmar. So if you want to know anything about Myanmar, any businesses, any things to do, people, like chambers of commerce, government ministries, it's all on Facebook. So Facebook is like how I used Facebook when I was like 14, because it was very new and everyone would just post everything on Facebook, and that's how it is in Myanmar. Everyone kind of just posts everything on Facebook, not necessarily being very cyber safe, but that's okay. Like, people are working on it. But so everything is on Facebook. People don't really use Google, like Instagram. No one really uses that. It's all just Facebook. So if you do want to know anything in Myanmar, Facebook is the place to go. Okay, so my 5th tip is that have really breathable, but like breathable clothes with a lot of coverage. Have breathable clothes with a lot of coverage is my advice, because there are so many different bugs that will bite you, especially me. Like, I think I'm very prone to getting bitten. Apparently I have really sweet blood. I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe it's my warm blood, but I get bitten by a lot of things, and I've had a range of bites which last for a while, or like I don't know how to get rid of them. And I find that over time I've just learned to wear long pants everywhere, wear long sleeves if you can, because I don't really feel like the spray, like the repellent spray, it doesn't do much. I feel like these bugs are elite bugs, you know, they see through all that stuff and they are unaffected by it. So I think wearing long pants is like your best bet. Also, Myanmar is very traditional. It is heavily Buddhist, and so most places that you go, like, revealing a lot of your body is not really well, it's accepted, but it's like, obviously don't be like super real. You can wear shorts, but just don't go around wearing like itty bitty clothes where you can see everything. It's just not really a thing you should do. And I just find it more comfortable wearing pants because you don't get bitten, they're breathable, and it feels flowy. And yeah, it's comfortable. So I would highly recommend investing in some good breathable clothes that cover your whole body. That's a good one, yeah. All right, tip number 6. So money, finances, managing it. Where do you store your money in Myanmar? So I think there's a range of answers to this, because some people only get paid in cash and then they store their money in cash. And then some people have bank accounts, some people have credit cards, and there's different levels of people like investing their money into Myanmar. Because for me, I'm like, I don't know if I would get a credit card in Myanmar. I don't know if like I want to have credit in Myanmar. I don't know why, but it's just like a thing that I'm not really too keen on. I have a bank account, but I'm also like conscious of being able to take that money out, because I've heard that sometimes they'll just like, the banks have just changed the amount that they'll let you take out, and then people have like struggled to take their money out, so that is concerning. So I think you can find your method of managing your money based on how it suits you. I think it's a lot better to keep your money in US dollars, because it holds a higher value, and then you can go and exchange that like weekly or whenever you need to. Myanmar chat is not really money that you want to have a lot of and then not be able to use it, because it's pretty useless outside of Myanmar. But US dollars obviously hold a lot more value. So I would recommend keeping your money in US dollars, and if you're being paid, be paid in US dollars, not Myanmar chat. Okay, now moving on to number 7. So alcohol, I would be very careful with alcohol in Myanmar. I think a lot of it is not real, and that's not just for me being suspicious. I've heard a lot of people talk about it and say how like the whiskey is not real, like most of it's not real, it'll be conjured up and changed by somebody else. Also because only a certain amount of people have licenses to sell alcohol in Myanmar, and actually only they're actually really restrictive on foreign imports of alcohol. So you're not really supposed to be able to have that much foreign alcohol in Myanmar. I think that they want to keep it local. So there are some bottle shops that will sell foreign alcohol, but I feel like a lot of it is like they're buying duty free and then they're selling it in the store. Question marks. But anyway, be careful with alcohol, because I think even when you go to a bar, I feel like there's been a few times that I've been very hungover on maybe like 3 drinks when I really shouldn't be that hungover. And Alex and I both agree that there's something fishy going on with the alcohol. So maybe just stick to beer and cider, bottled drinks. I think spirits is the one that's the most touch and go and very suspicious. So be mindful of that. All right, my last tip is that don't be afraid of Myanmar. I think the people are absolutely amazing is my biggest tip. Like locals and foreigners. When I moved to Myanmar, I didn't know anybody. I literally went on LinkedIn and started adding all these people and trying to meet up with them to learn more about the business culture and the work culture. And they were so helpful. I feel like everybody in Myanmar has a really lovely mindset where it's like, I've been in that position before, so I'm so willing to help you. And same with the locals. They're just amazing people. Really, really nice. Like the nicest, I feel like they're the nicest people in the world. Yeah, truly, like they're just really, really lovely, always willing to help. And yeah, I feel like it's just nothing to be afraid of. They're really accepting of you. And I find that Myanmar is like the country that I've been to where they don't really stare at you as much, which is really nice. I feel like when you're a foreigner in most places, you really stand out. I mean, you do stand out in Myanmar because you are a foreigner and there's not that many of you there, but they don't stare, like kind of just let you do your thing. They don't annoy you, which is really nice. So yeah, it's a really, really great country, and I absolutely love it. So if you guys are looking to move to Myanmar, I highly recommend it. I think it's the best decision that I've made, one of the best decisions that I've made in my life, and a place that I want to stay in for a while because I absolutely love it. There's so much to learn every day about yourself or things around you, and you see something developing every day that's new. But yeah, I hope that this has helped you guys. If you have any more questions, please feel free to message me on Instagram or comment below in this video and I can answer. I also put my email below, so let me know if you want to like have a chat. Always happy to help, but I hope that you guys, yeah, enjoyed this video and move to Myanmar. Bye guys.